Hey there, hope that you are doing good. So, I'm recording this video as a response to your question that you asked just about yesterday on my YouTube channel, that you were having problem with animated objects in Coppercube 3D game engine that you exported from Blender 3D. And I don't know in which format you exported from Blender, like it can be .x or either FBX format. It doesn't matter, but it should work fine in Coppercube 3D game engine. You also mentioned that your model is all in complete one piece. While I highly recommend you to use separate objects for individual meshes, like for spear and shield, they can be individual static objects, and while your main character can be an animated objects, and then you can combine them or merge them into one in Coppercube 3D, and I'm going to show you in a moment how to do that. So the main problem or the main issue you were having is of not having any collision for the animated objects. So there is a limitation with Coppercube that it doesn't allow any collision for animated objects. So yeah, it is true that you won't have any animation, any collision for the animated objects in Coppercube 3D game engine. But there are workarounds that allows you to have fake collisions or colliders for your animated objects, and we are going to look that into a moment. And you specifically want me to create the demo or the sample for Coppercube 6.0.2 because it is a 32-bit version. So I already installed this Coppercube 6.0.2 on my desktop, and I'm going to open it. By the way, I don't have any custom animated objects right now, so I'm going to use the inbuilt one with some primitive shapes so that I can show you how to merge static objects with animated objects and how to have fake collisions in Coppercube 3D game engine for your custom animated objects. It will work just fine with your imported objects from Blender 3D or any other 3D editor. So let me just delete this default cube mesh, and I'm gonna use this animated soldier. By double clicking on it, we can import it in our 3D viewport. As you can see, it will come with bunch of different animations: walk, run, attack, walk, stand, aim, etc, etc. Let me just select this walk animation, and for this particular video, let me just create this free flying camera with collides against geometry when moved enabled, and when starting the scene we want our camera to be the active camera. So let me just move it here and test the application by pressing Ctrl F10 in order to showcase you that Coppercube doesn't allow collisions for animated objects. So if I move my camera through this animated object, it won't stop or it won't collide with the animated objects. It will just get passed through the animated objects when I press down my forward key, which is W. You can see my key presses here. So in order to fix that or get around this problem of having no collision, what we can do is we can create fake collision box or fake colliders for this animated objects. And in order to do that, all you have to do is create this cube mesh and drag and drop it over our animated object, which is soldier, so that it will become a children of our animated object, and change the position to 0 so that it will move towards the position of our parent scene node, which is soldier in our case. Then we can change the material to material transparent add so that we can easily look through this cube mesh when we scale our cube mesh according to our character. You can also switch to left viewport and then scale it, then move it a little bit up here, scale it down for precise scaling, precise collision. Let me just scale it up, move it a bit down here. We're not going to create actual precise collision box, otherwise this video will be lengthy. So we are going to just leave it here, and then we can also go to front view and then scale it on the x-axis like this. You can leave the hands outside, or if you want hand to be included in the collision box, then you can do that. Then you can go to the back viewport, while there is no option here for the back viewport. Front is just fine, left is just fine. And then if you want, you can go to the top and then scale it like, and then get back to the perspective. Now if I test the application by pressing Ctrl F10, and if I try to get past through this animated object, I won't be able to get past through this cube mesh. And what you can do is you can also import a completely black texture, or you can also import a transparent texture. Then you can change the material type to transparent alpha channel and apply it on the cube mesh. While I'm using the transparent add material, I can simply apply the black texture on my cube mesh here, so that there will be no cube mesh around my animated objects. While I can move my soldier, it will also move my collider or the collision box. So if I press Ctrl F10 and try to move towards the animated object, I won't be able to do so because of the collision box. And now, how to make or how to combine or merge static object with the animated object. For example, you can have your shield as an individual object, or you can have your spear as an individual object, or you can have weapons like guns or some armors or some helmets. But how to merge them with animated objects in Coppercube 3D game engine? And it's pretty easy to do. All you have to do is select your animated object and then right click on the animated object in the scene graph explorer. You can also right click over here and then go to modify selection, then attach node to animated joint. This option will only show up for the animated object, so make sure that you have selected correct object and your scene graph explorer, and then click this attach node to animated joint. It will bring this drop down, and this drop down will have all the bones for your character. You can have different name for as per your character. If you are rigging the character in Blender, and whatever name you gave to the bones, that then those names will show up here. So for this particular character, we have this veteran back root and right leg up, right leg low, right foot ankle, right foot ball, left leg up, like this. So I'm gonna simply select this right arm hand and hit OK. What it will do is it will show you this green bounding box around the area of the bone position to our animated object, and it will also show this folder node under the animated object. So you can select it. It will show this green bounding box where the bone should be located in our animated object. And then what we are going to do is, as you know, I don't have any custom objects or 3D models. I'm simply going to use primitive like this sphere mesh as a shield for our player or for our animated object. So I'm going to hit OK. It will create this sphere. And as you can see, this sphere is perfectly fine. But sometimes there might be issues when you attach them to the animated objects. So simply drag and drop this sphere mesh to the right arm hand animated joint. And what it will do is it will make this sphere mesh to follow the animation of this right arm hand bone. And then simply go here to the position and change it to 0. As you can see, it move or sphere mesh to the position of this right arm hand bone. And then we can scale it down a bit like this. But now the problem comes here that I was talking about a bit earlier. So you can see our character hand is visible through this sphere mesh, and this sphere mesh doesn't look like it is. It just look weird because its UV is flipped, or you can say its faces has been flipped, or it is inside out. And in order to fix that, all you have to do is right click this sphere mesh, go to modify selection, and then simply select this flip direction of all faces, and it will fix your simple issue that you were having with this sphere mesh. And now you can see our shield, which is this sphere mesh, is perfectly aligned with the bone right arm hand of this animated object. So it is acting as a shield for our animated soldier. So you can have custom static models. It doesn't matter if it's a cube mesh or sphere mesh or an actual shield object or 3D model. So that's how you can, you know, merge static objects with the animated objects. And just like this sphere mesh, you can also attach your spear or armor or helmet if there is a valid bone at this point. For example, if there is a valid bone for this animated object head, so let's say if I right click on this soldier, modify selection, then go to attach node to animated joint, and then if I look for head, if there is neck, there is head mid, there is head mid, yeah, this is right eyebrow, and let's just select head mid, and yeah, there we have. And let's just create another sphere mesh as an helmet, and then move it to the head mid and change its position to 0, then scale it down. This this will act as a helmet for our model, this. And then I'm going to simply flip direction of all the faces, and there we go. Then we can also, move this like this, align it perfectly as we want, and scale it a bit up that it will look like an actual helmet. You can also rotate it or scale it or do whatever you want. So it is not an actual 3D object of an helmet, so it might look weird, but as you can see, it just plays along with the animation of our animated object. So you can see the hand is moving really fast while the head is staying at the same place. And then you can have this behavior like game behavior, game actor with health, AI player, etc. And then if I roll F10, should move randomly in our scene, and all the objects are moving along with it, as you can see. So it doesn't look like they are separate part or separate meshes. It looks like they are one. So this is how you can merge animated objects with a static object. So there will be collision as well. So if I try to get into this animated object, there will be collision and I won't be able to go past through them. So this is how you can have collision for your animated objects, and this is how you can merge static objects with animated objects. Hope that answers your problem or your issue. And you can just use whatever custom models you will have. It doesn't matter. It is just a tutorial as the base. So I hope you enjoyed the video and this solves your problem.